I'm Dr. John Smeltzer, and welcome to episode 110 of Ahtna 101. This particular episode is about trees and how we use them, and traditionally and even presently. We were talking about alder before. Now there's two kind of different alder in Alaska, or at least in our Indian country. There's what we call red alder, and red alder is called that for a reason. If you strip its bark, just the little bark around it, and look at it, you'll see that it's reddish. An older alder will be more orangish, but that's how you can tell a red alder. Then there's of course the mountain alder, which is different. In both cases, if you strip off the bark and make a weak tea out of it, it was used for things like inducing vomiting, reduce fever. It would also be used as a dye. The red stain that could be generated from that was used on all kinds of things, from staining wood handles to leather works, just about anything you wanted to stain a red color. And so it was that outer bark. We use it for lots of things. Leather works, especially like drums. When I was working with Harry Bell, we stained one with that, using that to have that reddish, brownish color. They're used for skins, snowshoes, so that there can be a little more attractive color to them than just the white of the flesh, the skin. We would use alder branches for our steam bath switch. That's when, remember, 2 of our days of the week are based on Sezel, the sauna, Sezel Gai, Sezel Keke, Saturday and Sunday. And when you're in a steam bath and it's hot, you take a branch and you beat yourself, or somebody else beats you with it. And an alder branch is quite often very commonly used, a wispy one, not a very rigid one. I think I once told you the story in Moscow, Russia, where I went to a steam bath and this little old lady beat the snot out of me with a bough. So it's a very common practice in the circumpolar north. But since I was talking about the medicinal use, that it was used for vomiting and reducing fever, we should talk about girls and menstruation. And it's very interesting. There's a lot of rules in Ahtna related to women or girls who are in their menstruation cycle. One of them is plants. Girls or women who are in their period are not allowed to be anywhere near medicinal plants. Their belief is that the medicinal plant will lose its medicinal value if it's around that person. Same thing with hunters. A woman shouldn't be with a hunting trip whatsoever during that time of the month. We have lots of rules about that. We would even isolate younger girls in their own little tiny house. I've seen them. They're about the size of a dog house. And they would isolate them during that whole 7-day cycle, 8-day cycle. And they would have to sit in there with what's a little counting string, 1 knot per day. And when those 7 or 8 days were expired, they could come back out and be in the community. But a lot of things related to medicine and menstruation. I just thought I'd share it with you. So, like I said, we used what we call sitka or mountain alder the most when we're smoking our fish. You just cut off green boughs that are still somewhat leafy, throw it on a good fire that's got ashes, and the smoke is a nice good smoke. And you just keep that going. It's very smoky, but smells great. The smoke keeps the flies off the meat, and little by little, day after day, the salmon or the meat is cured with the smoke. We use them to make snowshoes. We do all kinds of things with alder because, of course, if something is that common in our country, we're going to make a lot of use of it. The inner bark, that I told you about the inner bark being boiled to make a tea to reduce temperature. There was a lot of narratives from some elders who said that some of these tree branches or their bark was used to fight tuberculosis. Now that was not a common disease among Alaska natives until non-natives came into the country, and a lot of native people across Americas died. Probably across South and North America, died from tuberculosis alone. And as far as I know, none of those ethnobotanical cures tuberculosis, but there are some stories that they were used to fight tuberculosis or to counter it. But I don't really have much to say about that because I'm not a medical doctor or a pharmacist or anything. Anyhow, stay tuned for the next episode.